Hi guys, I'm Christina Garcia. I recorded Miss Lagomarsino in her 6th grade classroom. This lesson, she bases it on figurative language, specifically the 6 terms that she will go over: simile, metaphor, personification, onomatopoeia, hyperbole, and idiom. In this next clip, you will see how Miss Lagomarsino quiets down her classroom after coming in by using the point system as negative or positive reinforcement, used by, or also known as, the operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner. And he was a little introduced in, I believe, the Thorndike presentation.
Table 3, 5 points. Table 6, can you give them 5 points? Caleb, notebook, paper. Can you give table 5 and 4 5 points? And now table 1, 5 points.
In this next clip, you will see how Ms. Lagomarsino uses Gagne's 9 steps of instruction, with the first step by gaining their attention, informing them about the fact that it's Poetry Month and Poetry Day is upcoming, and this will relate to their lesson plan for the day. And then later in the clip, you will see how she uses Edward Thorndike's law of exercise in repeating material they've learned before by stating, "We are going to review figurative language, ...
Okay, so we're going to get started today. So as soon as my computer wants to wake up, this is actually National Poetry Month, April. And so on the 24th, we can get started, it's National Poetry Day. So we'll do a little activity on that day. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to kind of review figurative language.
In this next clip, you will see the step of the lesson plan, in which she has the learning objectives out for her students. She uses Howard Gardner's verbal and visual intelligence by stating the objective and also having it visual out for the students on one of the other boards in the classroom. So here we can either see Robert Gagne's step in the 9 steps of instruction, in which she's informing the learners of the objective, or in Madeline Hunter's direct instruction mode by, where she's stating the objectives to the students, which is pretty much in a sense the same thing.
So our learning objective is 6th graders are supposed to learn how to use figurative language. And so we're going to take a look at some of the examples of figurative language.
In this next clip, she is setting up her anticipatory set or introduction, and she is gaining the students' attention by asking them to do this quick write of what they recall of poetry from prior knowledge. So here we see a little bit of Madeline Hunter's independent practice, in which they're quick writing for about 5 minutes, and then a little Robert Gagne's simulate recall of prior knowledge step in the 9 steps of instruction.
At the top, and I'm going to give you guys a quick 5-minute quick write. What comes to your mind when you think of poetry? So poetry is kind of a fun thing you probably remember from kindergarten, reading poems. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, Mary had a little lamb. Those little songs are right? They're kind of like lullabies, but they have poetry in them. So I'd like to write poetry at the top. And I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. Write down, bullet, anything that comes to your mind when you hear the word poetry. Okay?
In this next clip, you will see her let them know exactly what she expects from them in this activity. And she is also very encouraging and lets them know that, they are free to express themselves, and also they need to remember to respect one another as they each are expressing themselves. So that's a bit of Albert Bandura, and then we'll see a bit of Lev Vygotsky in the Collaborate Learning, in which they are all coming together in this activity to learn from each other.
I would like to hear what you wrote or something, so please put a star or underline something you would like to share. So let's do a quick share out, or what we call jump in activity. So I'd like you to stand up, find something you'd like to share about poetry that you remember or you're familiar with. Jump in activity is where we jump in, we don't interrupt, we don't disrespect anyone. Oscar is new to us, so he will learn kind of a a fun way to hear everyone. So you're going to share something. It could be a word, a sentence, anything you would like to share about what you remember about poetry. Okay? So you guys can jump on in.
When I think of poetry, are poems about nature, family, friends, and culture. Sometimes poetry has a lot of learning words. When I think of poetry, I think of nursery rhymes.
In this next clip, you will see Miss Lagomarsino modeling what the students will be learning in terms of figurative language through a PowerPoint in which she is obviously verbally explaining, and then has the PowerPoint with pictures and examples in which they can see themselves. She will be going through 6 different terms in figurative language, which are CALPs, and then relates them to ideas, words, thoughts that relate to them and their lives outside of school. So that would be BICs, in order for them to understand the new CALP terms they are learning in this lesson.
Figurative language means figuring things out. So songs, poetry, sometimes you gotta think about, what does that song mean? What does that poem mean? And so we use something called context clues. And context clues are clues around a sentence or words in a sentence that will help us figure out what things mean. So we're gonna take a look at what's the difference between figurative language and literal language. Can somebody read what literal language really means? Brian?
Words function exactly as if.
Yeah, so when I say something is literal, that means that it's exactly what it says. For example, let's all read that.
Car is blue.
Good, that literally means the car is blue. Great, right? Literal language, we use it pretty much all the time. Let's read the next one.
He caught the football.
It's obvious, right? He caught the football. Is there anything I gotta figure out in there?
No.
Is there any messages, anything I have to be like a detective to try to figure out what that means?
No.
It's pretty self-explanatory, right? Good, what about this? Next one is figuratively. You have to figure out what it means. So poetry has lots of figurative language. Figurative means that it doesn't mean what it says. There's a hidden message, a hidden meaning.
In this next clip, you'll see how she uses Madeline Hunter's step of instruction mode, in which she checks for understanding before she moves on to the next term.
Alright, so what was the first type of figurative language? The simile. What's the second one? The metaphor. Very good. You guys okay? Okay. We're going to go to the next one.
In this next clip, you will see her using scaffolding, in which a student actually raises his hand to share an idea of what he thinks the phrase means. He's incorrect. She doesn't tell him he's incorrect. She kind of just leads him on to promote his thinking onto the actual idea. And so she's supporting the student's thoughts and ideas to come up with the correct answer.
Does that really mean that we're stuck in the mud? No. What does that mean, Joel?
It means you're stuck and you don't know what to do.
Okay. Kinda. That's a good clue. Oh, or we say stick in the mud. Stick in the mud?
You're stuck in a situation.
Okay. Good prediction.
So in this next clip, you will see the teacher is now at the guided practice section in the lesson plan, in which she gives the students tasks in working together in a team or in their groups to figure out 2 examples of the terms they've learned throughout the lesson. And so you'll see Lev Vygotsky's collaborative learning. You'll see that Robert Gagne's illicit performance. And she, of course, gives them clear expectations, which is from Albert Bandura. Of course, all under her supervision. As you'll see, she walks around the classroom.
What I did is I found some pretty cool pictures of ancient Egyptian artifacts that have been found. And you and your team are going to find some really good pictures. And you're going to see if you can come up with a simile, a metaphor, personification, an idiom, a hyperbole, and an onomatopoeia. So I want you guys to take a look through these really cool pictures. These are artifacts from ancient Egypt. And find a picture that you guys like.
The teacher's now in the closure part in lesson plan. We will see Madeline Hunter's last step in her instruction mode, closure, in which she's checking for understanding. And we can also see Robert Gagné provide feedback step in which she basically lets the students know, they did a good job or they understand each term, or, what the examples are given.
You came up with today and a picture, one of you. So if you can hold up your picture, waiting, and if you could share one figurative language piece, it could be a simile, a metaphor. Table 6. Can you guys share one example of figurative language that you guys came up with? Hold the picture up. All of us should be looking. If we didn't have anything written down, we can write that down. Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, this guy is as old as my grandma.
This guy is as old as my grandma. What's that an example of? Simile. Very good. Because it has as. Good. Can you give table 6 5 points around the clock?